Good morning, everyone. 29th of August. This is your Frontier Opening Bell. I am boosting off. Just a quick look through the markets. The stock market in South Africa was the roaring 1.68%, 75,079 on the all share index. The Nigerian market went up roughly 1%. We saw consumer goods, big names such as Dangote Sugar and Boa Foods on the upward trajectory. Those two, Behemoth and a few others, actually lifted the NGX all-share index back to around 66,000, which is, of course, a new high point for the market in the third quarter that we're currently in. Now we've got to put in August behind us over the next 2-3 sessions. The BRVM was down by 0.63%. The Egyptian market retained its strong trajectory, 0.37%, much bigger on Sunday when it started the new week, about 1.7%. What we saw yesterday was slightly lower, but holding the 18,500 for the AGX 30. The Nairobi stock market yet to grab that 100 basis reading on its index back yesterday. The Monday to start the new week, the index was down by 0.21%, still in the negative territory where it finished off on Friday, the 25th of the month. So let's just take that down. Of course, the stock market in Zimbabwe was positive on Monday after the announcement of President Emmerson Mnangagwa winning a re-election for another 5-year term. In East Africa's headline story, trade deficit widened because exports were cheaper, but imports were more costlier for nearly all the countries within the East African community. In the main, the three main economies, Kenya, Tanzania, and of course, Uganda. And Kenya Reinsurance says it's going to exit Indian market because of losses that is reported on flooding. And Kenya is looking to start $13.8 billion Lamu, Ethiopia, South Sudan, SGR project. That will be by the year 2025. And China has approved Ethiopia's suspension of debt repayment in 2023-2024 period. That will give Ethiopia Prime Minister Abiy's administration a bit of a breather as he looks to sign a new deal with the International Monetary Fund, with the respected IMF staff mission due to arrive in Addis Ababa next month. So let's get on to West Africa, where Nigeria's new administration had its first cabinet meeting on Monday. President Tinubu says he's focusing on cutting costs of governance and asking the new cabinet ministers to perform optimally, and says there'll be no room for lack of performance. The new finance minister, Wale Edun, also says Nigeria will not be borrowing locally, internationally to finance the economy, and that the savings from the removal of fuel subsidies will be plowed into the economy moving forward. In the meantime, the government says it will compensate individuals whose properties will be demolished in order to build a second runway for Abuja's airport. And that is in the news. The new FCT minister made this announcement over the last Monday, and that will bring some so-called to those whose properties will be impacted by the construction of a second runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Ghana says it reached about 3.2 billion cedis at the Treasury bills auctions and beat the target or at that Treasury auction by 72.07 million. That means it was oversubscribed, by the way. And the Cameroon's news coming through that 6.76% of the population, that roughly 900,000 individuals, use cryptocurrencies in the country. And Central Africa's central bank, which is the BEAC, says it put about 160 billion CFA franc from all commercial banks within the 6 countries that made up the French-speaking Central African region. That's the CEMAC. So look at Southern Africa, Zimbabwe stock market. The ZSE in the main was up on Monday because President Emmerson Mnangagwa was winning a re-election. But of course, there's still contentions from some of the contenders as far as the election was concerned, with allegations of rigging, violence, and those issues around elections. But of course, the market is moving on, by the way. Malawi's central bank, that's the Reserve Bank, says is looking to restructure about $1.2 billion of external loans. It started doing some restructuring with the Afrexim Bank loan back in 2020. Now it says it's going to do that for the Southern African economy. Zimbabwe's foreign currency reserves up by $5.5 billion in the first 6 months of this year. That, of course, was boosted by diaspora remittances, roughly $1 billion by Zimbabweans in diaspora from South Africa and elsewhere around the world. Private leasing, rent to buy, looks out of new alternative for vehicle financing in South Africa as the economy became tight a little bit and folks are looking to purchase new automobiles. The United States may extend the AGOA, the Africa Growth Opportunities and Act of which expires in 2025. It's been 25 years. It's due for expiration, but Botswana's president and others have been asking the U.S. government to rethink and extend the AGOA by a few more years. The U.S. envoy to Botswana says it's likely that Biden's administration will look into that before the U.S. Elections in 2024. The AGOA will expire 2025. And finally, looking at North Africa, of course, Attijari Bank of Tunisia, which is Tunisia's subsidiary of Attijari Wafa Bank of Morocco, says its first half 2023 net profit was up about 14.66%. That's quite a very robust growth there. Egypt is looking to raise private sector participation in the economy to about 65% over the next 3 years period, as President El-Sisi has issued new incentives to back local industrial projects. That's part of getting the private sector to get more involved in the building of the economy and get the government a bit out of the way. Libya and the island of Malta are kickstarting what we call the renewable energy feasibility study that will help Libya, a major oil producer on the continent, to begin to transition to a renewable form of energy in the big North African economy. And those are your headlines to start Tuesday, the second trading day of the week, and begin to wind down the month of August. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll be back with you pretty soon. This is your Frontier Opening Bell.